Welcome back to Life, Love, and Real Estate. Easy for me to say. Happy Wednesday to you. Happy episode 5 to us. Daniel Palmer back again one more time. And as always, joined by my much better pod half, LaCressa. How are you doing today, LaCressa?
I'm good. And we're on episode 6, sir. Episode 6.
In my defense, I'm bad with numbers. No, in my defense, episode 5.
Calendar. Don't.
No, that was a joke. In my defense, episode 5 did drop today, and I was doing some promo stuff for it on my social earlier, and so my brain's in an episode 5 place. My apologies. Episode 6. So excited to be here. We're talking about kind of everything that's happening right now in the world, and that means spring has sprung. As you may or may not know, I do a spot of stand-up on the side, and so I've got a joke about spring. Spring is in the air, which in Atlanta means tree sperm, because there's pollen everywhere. I've got pollen inside my car. I've got pollen inside my house. I don't understand any of it, but it does mean good things for our potential buyers and sellers, LaCressa. So I do want to talk about kind of spring. What does spring mean for you? What does it mean for not just your business, but for your life? It's this time that we traditionally associate with renewal, but I know it can be different for different people.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I start to get excited in the spring. I love heat. I'm a Southern girl, so I don't mind being hot. I don't mind being sweaty outside of having a black leather interior car with no coverage. But outside of that, I really do enjoy the spring. I am lucky that I am not affected by all of this pollen. It's just annoying and itchy when you touch things, and then I touch my face way too much. So yeah, I'm excited about the spring. Look, it's a good time. People are getting outside. It's festival season in Atlanta. There's a ton of free events. We have probably one more freeze right before Easter, because that's typically what happens in Atlanta. And then it's full on heat, hot, legs everywhere, asses.
Do you have a signifier for you that you know it's spring? So in my youth, when I was in college, I just sounded the oldest I've ever felt.
Man.
Goodness gracious. When I was in college, I went to Columbia, New York, and we would call it Sundress Day. It was the day where people stopped wearing sweats and started wearing sundresses, and we would sit on the steps, and we'd enjoy a few adult beverages, and we would enjoy the atmosphere of sundresses. But now for me, as an old person, when I pull up to my house, I don't follow golf. I want to make that. I'm a big sports guy, but I don't follow golf exactly. But when I pull up to our house now, we have azaleas that bloom. And that's how I know spring is here. That's how I know the Masters is about to happen, because it always coincides with Augusta. So I'm like, okay, this is truly spring. I'm not a golf guy. I got to take my dad down for one round of the Masters one year. He's a huge golf guy. We followed Tiger. It was awesome. So for me, like, this is a lot of like, oh, okay, like a lot of good, like you said, good memories kicking off summer. Selfishly, my birthday's in the summer. I love the summer. I too, Southern man, love being hot. Don't throw this in my face in August when I said I loved being hot and I'm complaining about the heat. I don't want to hear it.
Of course, that's what
We're all inconsistent. We're all inconsistent. Yeah. We're all hypocrites.
Well, Atlanta weather is inconsistent, so until it gets
exactly.
hot,
See, I've been trained this way
for 4 months, and then absolutely.
Is there any signifier for you, kind of just out in the world, besides the amount of pollen, to let you know that spring is finally here?
I love it when the crepe myrtles start to bloom, because the crepe myrtles are everywhere, and there's lovely pops of color. So you get the whites and the pinks and the yellows. And so for me, it really sets my mood, the amount of daylight. I'm a sucker for daylight. Like, as soon as I wake up in the morning, I open all of my blinds. I flood my home with daylight. I happen to be in a corner unit, so therefore I'm surrounded by windows. And that really sets my mood and gets me excited. It gets me up and motivated. And then, everyone's getting fit, and so they can look good, and people are out walking and talking and drinking and doing all kinds of fun things. And so spring is a super great time in Atlanta in general, just because it's not too hot for those who are not used to all of this yet. And at the same time, it's festival season. So this weekend is Dogwood Festival, so that's super exciting. It's nice to get back outside.
This is exciting because Susan's going out of town this weekend. She's got an event outside of town for a friend. And so it's me and Matthew all day Saturday. So we're going to be going out, and we're going to Grandma and Grandpa's house, and we're going to be plotting out, because we're going to do the Easter egg hunt on Easter Sunday. We're going to get all this stuff planned out. And so he gets to hang out with the grandparents on Saturday, and maybe I'll swing by a festival or two, or just go to the park because there's a park near us. Like just take him to the park and just get out of the house and just let him just run around. Because there's one thing that he has learned is that if we're sitting inside and he doesn't want to be there anymore, he'll go grab his shoes and just say outside. And I'm like, I guess we're going outside.
Oh, that's so cute.
It's a child's eyes. You know, you always hear the cliches about, oh, you get to see all these things through. It's completely true. I have a new appreciation for just walking through the grass, and he'll follow an ant for like 5 minutes. And our thing is like, hey, we're gonna love him from afar because we don't want him to crush the ant and feel bad. So we're just like, hey, give him his space. So look, he is a very gentle, very sweet young man, but he's also my kid, so he's kind of a meathead. So I'm just like, hey, let's not crush the flower. He calls flowers babies because we treat babies sweetly. Because he was like grabbing him, and I'm like, no, we got to be a little bit more gentle than that to our flora and fauna friends.
Oh, that is really sweet. Child excitement is just lovely. Child laughter is amazing. It is, they get so excited about the little things. I have to say that while you will be Easter egg hunting and dyeing eggs and smelling like vinegar, it is also 420. So while you are doing family things, I will be doing 420 things. And so I'm looking forward to that. So we can all celebrate the Lord and the resurrection and some other shenanigans.
Highest of holy days. Now,
it is the highest of holy days. That's perfect. That's absolutely perfect.
Fantastic. So we are here talking about real estate. I want to talk about this phrase that gets thrown around our lives a lot, but I'm not sure the average person listening knows what it means. We've all heard about the spring market.
Yeah.
And just kind of baseline, what does those words mean to you as a realtor in this space?
I mean, I think like as we were talking about a little bit earlier, the spring is a signifier of renewal, right? And a lot of times people are a little bit hesitant towards the end of the year, and then the beginning of the year is a little shaky because they're trying to get their groove in. And so you start to see an uptick of interest in the market and the readiness to buy a home starting kind of that late March, early April. I would say by May, it's full on. But it is definitely warming up to that spring market. So we're going to see a lot more upticks. You know, homes that haven't been moving are going to start moving a little bit faster, even if it's been on the market for 30, 60, 90 days. All of a sudden, you have 2 or 3 people looking at the same home. Where everyone thinks that they're going to get that home for a steal because it's been sitting on the market for so long, but now you have competition that you didn't have before. So the market does heat up, which is a beautiful thing for us, right? Also, sellers tend to want to list their homes during the most active time. So that's going to be spring and summer. So you're going to see a lot more inventory, but with a lot more inventory comes a lot more competition towards the limited amount of homes that fits your needs, right? Going to realtor.com or going to Zillow, whoever you use in order to do your general market research, and you pull up a zip code and it's like, there's 1,000 homes. You're like so excited, right? And then you start to put in your details. I want 3 bedrooms. I want 2 baths. I want hardwood floors. I want an open kitchen. I want this. And then you start to see that number shrink exponentially. Example is we have a client. Thanks to a lovely referral from a previous client from last month. And they found a home and they are very specific about what they want. They want a mid-century modern ranch. There's not a lot of mid-century modern ranches that are available in this market at the price point that they're in for 4-sided brick that has a little bit of upgrades and all of that stuff. There's literally probably 3 homes that will fit that criteria for them. We saw that home yesterday and I was like, if you're still thinking about it when you wake up in the morning, that's my thing. Then you want it. And she texted me first thing this morning and said, out of everything that we considered, this is the best option based on our price point. They're very savvy. They know exactly what they can afford. They know what's available for them and what they can afford. They've done a lot of market research and we're going for it. So we're going to put in an offer today. So my advice is, yes, as the market is warming up, just also know that you need to shoot your shot because other people are going to be shooting their shot as well.
And I think that's one of the real benefits of having someone who's experienced in this avenue, particularly this time of year, in your corner. Like, I know you hear a lot of people say, I don't need an agent. Yes, you do. First and foremost, you need an agent because you don't do this all the time. They do. But second of all, this is where our jobs differentiate so much, because mine is either the numbers are there or they're not. And you, it's like, hey, there's a scarcity option here to where you've got to make some moves and make some decisions. You've got to kind of get people off that fence. And I think that that's particularly in our current spring market. So LaCressa spoke to general spring markets. Each one's going to be different. Each one's going to have a little bit different market situation. Your exact picture may not be exactly what we're describing right now, but I guarantee it fits a lot of the generalities. What's also important in the spring marketplace is to recognize, like LaCressa said, the level of competition that's going to be out there. Everyone wants to move this time of year because, one, it's a spirit of renewal. Two, it is, like you said, you want to be outside. You're actually going to open houses. But three, people are buying homes today to have kids in school for the fall.
Absolutely.
This is what people are starting their hunts now so they can shop over the summer. Everyone says, oh, things move more quickly in the summer. This is the reason why behind that. And so our entire, particularly for me, because I can't control how many people are shopping. I can't control what kind of house you're looking for. I can control the inventory. What I can't control is getting everything into our systems, reviewed, and get you back out there shopping confidently so that when you come across that house where you wake up the next day and you're still thinking about it, you're not afraid to make that move. You feel the confidence behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think what helped is the fact that they have experience with home ownership. It's been 20 years, I think, since the last time they bought another home. And so there was a little bit of refresher there, right? Like, I know I bought a house. I don't remember how the hell I did it. I just know that I did what I was supposed to do, and we made it happen, and we lived there for all of these years. And so it was a little bit of a refresher of the, this is the process and this is what to expect, and, all of those types of things. At the same time, they had confidence in themselves and in their decision making. I think that is a huge thing, and they know what they want. In this particular home that we are putting an offer on, one of the things I needed them to think about was we hear, and you and I have heard this for a while, and people are still buzzing about this, right? The amount of equity that people have gained in their homes over the last 2 to 5 years because of COVID and all of those different things. Interest rates were super low. So people were buying, they were buying overpriced, all of those different types of things, right? And people assumed that their equity is going to keep trickling up at the same rate it was 2, 3, 4 years ago. And it is and it isn't. It depends on where you live. It depends on your location. It depends on all of those things. So one of the things I needed them to consider yesterday that I put in mind, I was like, this is not a 3 to 5 year home. This is not a 3 to 5 year home where you're going to make 20% equity and then move somewhere else. They were purchasing in an older neighborhood surrounded by older folks. There's not a lot of resales there. The only time there's a resale if someone has to downsize or someone dies. But other than that, it's just not available, right? And also because of that, where the location is, they got to drive to grocery stores. They have no faster food in their neighborhood. All of those things affect your lifestyle and your living, right? So there's sacrifices that need to be made. But with them wanting to be here long term for the next 10, 15, or 20 years, then that particularly works for them. If your client is like, I'm only here for 3 to 5 years, you kind of have to be a little bit strategic about where people are going, because in 2 years, you might not be in the position to move, And so for me, I think with my experience and stuff like that, it's also being nuanced to say, what type of decision is this for you? And not every realtor or every person in our industry talks about those things in that way.
But I think that's super important when you're talking to particularly first-time home buyers. I know that these folks have owned a home in the past, but just so everyone listening knows, if you've not owned a home in the last 3 years, you're effectively looked at as a first-time home buyer again from a loan perspective. So I think that that's super important, that when you're dealing with a first-time home buyer, that your loan officer is aware of that your realtor is aware of that, and they're able to kind of walk you through these things, because LaCressa is 100% right. Having that knowledge and that experience to say, hey, look, let's be realistic and reasonable about what these next 5 years are going to look like. Because if you're expecting 2020 to 2025 as far as appreciation, you're going to be disappointed if that's your goal. And so by setting those expectations, you set the parameters with which they're able to look through the home, the lens. So it doesn't come from a this is going to be a get rich quick scheme. It goes to this is a lifestyle choice. This is something that's for us that we decided that we needed. And I think that even in my first conversations with the client, it was so interesting because you're right. They came so clear and so dedicated on what they were looking for that it was really just for me, hey, look, here are your opportunities. Here's what you can do with what you're looking for. And they went out, and I'm so glad to hear that they found something they liked.
Yeah, the younger realtor me thought that you needed to show a ton of houses and give people as many options as possible so that they don't feel like they missed something out in the market. The more experienced me over the years recognizes that there's a limited amount of resources and a limited amount of inventory based on what you specifically are looking for, right? Each individual is different. Your lifestyle is different. What creates your lifestyle is different. And so, yes, there might be mid-century modern homes that are available in Atlanta, but there's only 3 of them that are available in your price point. So one of these 3, homie, you got to pick one of these 3. And like, we're going to go.
Or we start looking at see what's really important to you and start weighing different factors.
Yourself up to something completely different. And some people are open to that. And some people are like, this is what I want. No problem. We'll get you what you want. Just know that you got 3 choices, not 10 choices, not 20 choices. Right. And as long as you recognize that and you're able to make a decisive decision based off of that information, then yeah, you can find that best home. But the more specifics you put in, the less inventory is available for you, period.
Well, let's dig down for a second into the decision-making process, because it's something that you've said a lot on this podcast is teaching people to trust themselves through the process. And so I'm a nerd. I'm a lender. No one's surprised. But I also believe that decision-making is done best with a combination of analytical and instinctual. Like there's a reason why your instinct says, hey, that noise at night sounds scary. I should go inside. That's not you saying being educated about the rate of owl attacks at night. That's like, hey, that noise scared me. I'm going to go inside. And so our best decisions are a combination of the two. We were able to marry those two kind of places. And so what took it for you? How did you get to the point where you say, if you're still thinking about it in the morning, let's put an offer in? Because that, for me, it's such a systemic way to look at it. But at the same time, you're incorporating that instinctual drive behind it.
Oh, that's a good question. And I don't have a full answer for you. I don't know where that came from. I just know after, number one, you've heard me say this over and over again, that grown people go after what they want. And if you want it, you're going to go after it. Right. So there's that. But to me, especially when you're looking at houses, and I find that some realtors will overshow too many houses. That's my personal opinion. Everybody has their own business model. I show no more than 3 houses at a time. That has been my rule. If we have to go out multiple times, and we're going to go out multiple times, we're going to start with the best 3. And we're going to make decisions off of those best 3. And then we're going to regroup. We're going to see what's important to you, what's not important to you, because what people come in saying is important to them can be completely different once you get into that home and you start to observe them. Because I think a great realtor is very observant. Not in just what their clients say, because I am not an order taker. I pay attention to what you say. I pay attention to what you don't say. I pay attention to how what your expressions are, what your, the things you say under your breath when you walk into a room. I can tell if you're feeling a home or not. You don't even have to tell me. I'm paying that much attention to you and how you're responding to the environment to know if that works for you or not, to know if you're going to try to talk yourself into it or not. So there's a certain level of intensity that comes in to paying attention to the subtle cues as well as the loud cues. So that is a big deal for me. And then at the same time, you still are not going to get every freaking thing that you want, period. Doesn't matter what your number is. It doesn't matter what your price point is. You can have a $3 million home and it's still not exactly everything that you want unless you built it from scratch. And who the hell is doing that right now? And even then, you're going to be mad about something or displeased with something, right? So everything is a little bit of a give and take. So once I start to walk through those first couple of homes with you, I go off of what you say and also how you react to things. So if the kitchen was most important to you and you said, I have to have this cook's kitchen because I do all these elaborate dinners, and you walk into the home and you haven't even mentioned the kitchen to me at all, whether it works or doesn't work, then I know the kitchen wasn't really that important to you. It was just something that you hear people say, and you just fall into the bandwagon because you want to feel and be seen knowledgeable, right?
Savvy even.
And savvy, right? Like,
Yeah.
I thought about this. I know what I want. I know what I don't want. I No, you don't. Most of the times you don't. You think you know what you want. You know what you have seen. You know what you think you like. I pay attention to you if you actually like it once you're in the home.
That's
Um,
that's really fascinating to me, because have I told you the only piece of advice I ever give anyone getting married?
what?
I tell every man, the guy, oh, I'm getting married. Congratulations. I'm so happy for you. When you guys are making decisions about the wedding, don't do it over the phone. Make sure you're sitting with your partner and say, because when we were planning our wedding, Susan would say this or this, and I'd be like, let's talk about it at home. Because then if I'm in front of you, the way you frame blue versus gold is going to tell me what the right answer is. I'm going to learn just by the way you deliver it. Whether
Good
I'd never
husband.
apply that to like other parts of my life. Oh no, just
Good
fearful, just
husband.
an afraid man. But you're
No,
100% right. It's the way people react and the way they're going to tell you more around the answer than the answer itself. I think that's
absolutely.
really interesting. Yeah.
And then so, we also I like to spend a lot of time in the home, because the more time we spend in the home, the more time I'm able to observe how you are going to talk to me about what you like and what you don't like. Do you know what I mean? And how what your focus is. Is it systems? Is it structure? Is it the kitchen? Is it the bathroom? What I'm going to figure out what's most important to you based off of your body language and based off of how you move, regardless of what you say. I mean, I hear what you're saying and I
Of
take a
course.
mental note of what you're saying, but then, and I see you in action, then I'm going to compare what you said to me with how you act in person and in real action. And to me, when you're paying attention to that level, then you really can figure out what's going on with people. You really see the hesitation before it happens, because there's always warning signs, right?
Right.
Um, and then the ultimate close for me is, if this is your home, then you will be thinking about it in the morning. And I do that when there's no other offers on the table. There's certain things that go along with it. Like, if
Right.
there's competition, then we need to make a decision right now. But if there isn't immediate competition, I'm going to give you that time to sleep on it, because if you're not thinking about it in the morning, it's not for you.
Right.
Because
Right.
most of the things that we're thinking about in the morning are a layover of things that were important to us the day before, either something that we forgot to
I
do,
like that.
or whatever that is. It's top of mind the next day. If that is not top of mind to you, it's not your home. Period. It's not your home.
And that's I love how it's marries systemic, because again, nerd, love a system. It marries the systemic with the flexibility to know your situation. One of the greatest things I've ever been told was circumstances dictate action. And
Mm,
so, like you said, if there's a situation where there's multiple offers, or it's been on the market for a while, offers are coming in, you be a bit more less hesitant to say, hey, take the night and think it over. But when you're in a position where you guys are coming from, hey, this has been on the market for a bit and maybe there's not a whole lot of action, you give them that 12, 8, 10 hours, however long they sleep, to really let them come back to you and consider. I think that's really smart and really considered, because a lot of people would sell. You see it happen where people will sell the customer the house as opposed to letting the house be right for the customer, where they're chasing the
mm,
commission more than they're chasing the right decision for the customer. And I
oh,
think
yeah.
that speaks to your experience and kind of also your lifestyle. Like, it's one of the things I like to say is lead with your values so that everyone can recognize you fully. And when you have the ability to do that for people and to show them who you are, you don't have to advertise, I'm LaCressa, I'm patient, I'm work with you. No, they've seen it through your action. I think that's really cool too.
Yeah, and also it was a really great, like, this was my first time meeting them. We only
Right.
had a chat, it was a referral from a lovely woman, and they were friendly, but just because someone you like rocks with someone doesn't mean that you want to rock with them, right?
Right.
And so we had a nice simple chat, and then they wanted to see the home, and so we went and saw the home, and then I really got a chance to really kind of interact with them, get an understanding of their personality, also how they communicate with each other, because this is a
Mhm.
married couple. right? And then from there, we all got a feel for each other, but we took our time in this space so I can really be observant and pay attention to how they move and also how they talk with one another, how they make decisions together or separately, because every couple is different, right? Who is the main decision maker, or is it a collaboration of decisions? It's all different with each couple, whether they're married or not, right? And so you need to understand those things in order to protect your client. And most importantly, I'm also trying to protect you from yourselves, right? Like, it's not just protecting you from getting the right home for you based on the lifestyle that you want to create or the lifestyle you want to maintain, because that's also my philosophy. Either you're trying to create a new lifestyle or maintain the lifestyle that you have. It's one or the other. Which one is it? And then we can figure that out. But outside of that, I want you to feel confident in your decision. I don't want you to have buyer's remorse. I don't want you blaming me for the fact that you could not make a decision. Because to me, ultimately, it comes back of, you ain't blaming me for this, right? Like, we had a conversation. I am your consultant. I gave you all of the tools you can to make the best decision possible for yourself. How confident are you with making that decision? But it's always just kind of not pushing back, but putting it back on them. Like, does this really work for you? Not, can I talk myself into this? Does this work for you? Because that kitchen ain't moving. That wall probably is not moving, right? That basement is that basement. That yard is that yard. And you can talk yourself into something for the first couple months. But if you're annoyed by the entrance of your community every time you come home, it doesn't matter how great your home is. You're going to be annoyed because you had to go out through that horrible entrance every time you came home. And it's a reminder of how horrible it is, even though I got this great home. Right. So all of it has to kind of come together in order to make it work for everyone. And it has to work for everyone. That's my philosophy. It has to be a win-win for both parties. If it's two people, whether I have another client who has a roommate situation, he is buying a home and he's going to take his current roommate with him to the next home. He brought her to the showing and he valued her opinion just as much as he's the one who's paying for it, because he wants her to feel comfortable in that space, which means that now I have to consider both of their opinions, even though he is the purse strings in a sense, right? Because he's not going to feel comfortable if she's not comfortable. You got to know your players. You got to pay attention to what they say, and then you got to pay attention to what they don't say and how they move.
And it's something I was talking to someone else about this recently. We have to microwave these relationships with people because we're stepping into a situation, like you said, he's buying the home, but he's got a roommate who he values and cares about enough to say, hey, help me make this decision. And so we've got to come in, like, be very observant the whole time. We've got to warm up both these parties. We got to, if there's another person I got to talk to, great. Let me warm them up too. It's someone said to me, I was talking with an agent after the team meeting yesterday, and he said, I was doing something in one of the social media posts. And he was like, wow, our job is supposed to be X, Y, and Z. I go, man, that's the coolest thing about our job, is that you're never going to get bored because it's always something different. It's always a new challenge. Yes, I am the numbers guy, but I also handle my own marketing. I handle my own. We built this podcast from scratch. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, our hats we wear are so all encompassing that it keeps us on our toes. It keeps us active. It keeps us able to be nimble enough to, when these conversation opportunities arise, to step up and say, hey, I'm not only going to be of service, I'm going to be a consultant and make sure you, like you said, are protected from yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's a team effort.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
And I think one of the biggest things from challenges on my side right now is everyone, while we've been sitting here recording, there have been 3 negative reprices I've gotten via email. I'm just watching the pop-ups happening in the corner. And I think it's very interesting because you're going to get the pushback of people, oh, well, I love this house, but the rate. And as I tell everyone, you're not moving because of rate. You're not looking to change your life because of a rate. What we're trying to do is
no buts. They are looking for the possibility to talk themselves out of it and using the rate as a reason to talk themselves out of it.
100%.
Right? And so, 100%. and that's what I think that people forget that we deal with all the time. So it's, once again, going back to you trusting yourself. You called me. You wanted the loan. You wanted to see what your position was, right?
Right.
Now that you have, what are we going to do with this? You made that initial step and now you're getting a little scared, and that is okay. That's okay. It's scary as hell. It can be. It's very intimidating to have people getting into your financial business, which is very personal, by the way.
Right. Very.
Right. At the same time, this is what you said you want. Let's do this. Let's do this. How do I help you build up your confidence while we are going through this process so that you feel good and proud of yourself about the decisions that you made, knowing that they were your decisions?
100%.
What does that look
100%.
I saw your eyebrows go together. Like your
No, you're good. No, we have one more topic. So those who don't know, producer Annie helps us put together all of our topics for these episodes, and she had one more on there, and I didn't know if I wanted to broach it, but I guess I'll start. First loves, because it's springtime, first time home buyers, love is in the air, be it tree pollen or not. But it does cast you back and make you think about, because like I was saying, we're walking into these microwave relationships where we've got to figure out our situation. You got to kind of read the room really quickly. And I tried to think about like kind of where that comes from, because speaking only for myself, I was not the best person to be in a relationship when I was starting to be in relationships. I didn't know me. I was, and I'm sure that there's a way to look at it where, I grew through X, Y, and Z, and I did, and I became a better partner, and I am the man I am today. However, I also know for a fact that like time travel being possible, I'd shake old young me, be like, "What are you doing? You're behaving irresponsibly." And so I don't know. Do you have any are you in a healthy enough place to look back at old relationships and be inherently positive and not regretful?
Yeah, I am. Good. I mean, I'm not that kind of, I'm not a regrets person.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of me in general. If they're still in my life, I have good relationships with everyone that I've ever dated.
Look.
Except for my ex-husband, we don't talk.
Got one or two, yeah.
And we're never going to talk again. But outside of that, I am pretty friendly with everyone that is still in my life, so I don't have any regrets. I think that I became a better partner over time. I mean, the person I was when I got married and when I was dating him is completely different than the person I am now. I don't even know if he would like me. Because I was just different. I showed up completely differently. Completely different. So no regrets. My first love was a great first love. I mean, it was my first girlfriend. So it was like, we're going to get married. And my friends are like, oh, you're so cute. You're never going to marry this girl. And I was like, we are. But I was also 19,
Yeah.
And full of love and wanting to love. And then also at the same time, I was in college. So I was making out with all kinds of people and all kinds of things, so it was I had a good time.
There you go. And I don't want to sound like I have like tons of regrets. For me, it's more like, I wish I'd behaved differently. I wish I'd handled that situation differently, like very specific, but like you, I don't have like large umbrella regrets. Again, you're in college, you're pre-college, whatever, like you're in your 20s. I'm able to properly contextualize it all. It's just that as a damn near 40-year-old man now, I'm like, those were the actions of a 22-year-old or a 23-year-old. I can and like you said, okay, this all makes sense. None of it doesn't make sense. None of it's like, and those were the years I was a drug kingpin. Like that wouldn't make any sense. But like everything seems to have made sense and got me to where I am. And so, yeah, I think that like first loves are great, and you think they're gonna last forever. And maybe there's some high school sweethearts listening who are like, Daniel, you're wrong. They do last forever. And I say to you, Mazel Tov. I don't know what to tell you.
That's where I come from, there's I went to high school in Valdosta. So a lot of when you go to your 10-year reunion and your 20-year reunion and shit, I'm coming up on my 30-year. So that's wild. But side note, when I went to the 10-year reunion and even the 20-year reunion, the 10 years are usually first marriages, right? And then you get married right out of college or right out of high school, and you go through your 20s, and a lot of them had babies and stuff like that, right? And then by the 20-year reunion is a lot of second marriages, because you've done that, and now you have your new baby with your new husband or your new wife or your whatever. Right. But then there are those who got married right out of high school and they're celebrating 25 years and or 27 years, or we started dating in middle school, and that shit sounds insane to me.
Okay, so I didn't want to say that value judgment up front. I'm so glad that you stepped into it first.
You know I'm gonna say it. Good
I
for
know
you. And at the same time, holy hell, right? Like, I'm still amazed that there are people that I went to high school with that are grandparents now, that are, so you either had babies in like your early 20s, or you partied and had a good time in your early 20s to your early 30s, and then you started having baby in your mid 30s until like your 40s, right? So there's those two different generations of babies. If I was to have a baby now, like, seriously, number one, I'm 47, so there's that. But me starting now and they have 25-year-olds sounds insane to me. Also, adverse to that, I'm glad that I partied my ass off in my 20s. Look. I'm glad that I got to be completely responsible and irresponsible at the same time, because I handled my business. I paid all my bills. I worked a million jobs. I wasn't traveling in my 20s. I was grinding in my 20s, but I was having the best time while I was grinding.
It was an enjoyable grind.
It was an enjoyable grind. And so you see people now who are like, they had babies in their 20s and now they're empty nesters in their 40s. And they're like, let's get out there. And I'm like, girl, the bounce back ain't what it used to be. Like, these streets are trash,
Out there hurts.
So I'm glad I got to experience what I experienced it. And yeah, it's just, I couldn't imagine
being with someone from like middle school or high school onwards. Like, if it works for you, God bless you.
Yeah.
But for me, if the most interesting, wonderful person I met was at 13, and I met no one else who was more interesting or like touched me in a special, like emotionally moved me from 13 to 37, like, I would ask questions. I'd be in therapy. This wouldn't be a podcast. This would be me on a couch, be like, so how did we get here? What happened? But no, you're right. I'm glad, like, my 20s, like you said, I was responsibly irresponsible. I've never missed work. I never let my bills slip. I always had something in the fridge. But at the same time, I was in my 20s. I was like, look, this is the time. This is the season for this. And so if I had done the alternative and gotten, and if I was 39 right now and had an 18-year-old in my home who was about to leave, I wouldn't be out in these streets. I'd be tired, because guess what? I have a toddler now, and guess what I am? Tired. Oh yeah. This baby went to bed at 7:30 on Saturday night. You know what time we went to sleep?
What time?
8:45 on the couch, watching some basketball.
Yeah.
Out. Yeah. I tell you.
No,
didn't have a chance.
It's different because Anytime I ever thought about kids, I always added 18 to it. Not 18.
Yeah, just add a quick 18.
I added 22. Not even 18. I added 22, right?
That's safer.
You through college or whatever schooling you go through, right?
Yeah.
But the kids don't get independent until after like 22, 23, really, for the most part.
I think my generation was the last generation of like, oh, we graduated college, we're not coming home. Like,
yeah. They go home now. Shit, I went home for spring break and I never went back. I was like, this is trash. I'm never doing this again. I never went back.
We moved. So when my brother finished NYU, my mother realized that neither one of us were coming back. She's like, oh, okay. So they sold the house in Buckhead, moved to Cobb County where they are now. And when we moved from Philadelphia back to Atlanta, there was a month and a half when we lived in my parents' basement, Susan and I. And I was like, oh, this is trash. This has to immediately get me out. Because I'm grown. Like, I've been I live in different states. Like, I am out of my mother's house. And all of a sudden I was back in my mother's house. And I was like, oh no, this does not. They were cool. Look, there was some dope stuff about it. I'm not going to lie. There's some cool little fringe benefits.
Food, you have your bills paid. It's comfortable.
And guess what? I have the benefit of liking my parents. Like, that also helps. I love my parents. It helps so much.
I'm not living with them. Marilyn cannot help but be Marilyn. Like, she is, what time are you getting home? Who are you out with? Even in her dementia, she like, where are you going? Who are you with? What time are you going to get home? All of those things. Mama used to, this is like when I was like 39 or 40, I would be talking to her on the phone, driving somewhere at, I don't know, 8 or 9 o'clock at night or something. I don't know why the hell we were on the phone that late, but I'm talking to her and she's like, okay, I'll wait until you get home and walk in your door before we get off the phone. Really, lady? Like, you're in Valdosta.
Hey,
you are 2.5 hours away. And it's so sweet. And it's
That's
so
so sweet.
loving because mothers love to mother, but they can't help mothering. So when I went home for spring break, and it was a constant questions of who are you with, what time are you going to be home, don't come in my home after this time because we don't want all this kind of noise. And I was like, yeah, love you, bye, I'm out. Appreciate it though. And thankfully, I know that if anything ever went down, I always had the ability to go home.
100%.
I was just telling this to my sweetie. I was like, I never use going home as an option, ever. I know it is an option way in the back of my mind that my parents were always going to be open. And if you need us, baby, you can come home. We'll take good care of you. I get that. And I'm thankful that I had that safety net way the hell down there because I ain't using it unless I am desperate and I have
unless
to.
Unless they cut this trapeze, I'm staying up here, damn it.
Right? I will work 3 jobs. I worked 2 jobs throughout all of my 20s. I did everything to not ever have to go home. And it's not because my parents aren't loving and sweet. It's like, that's not where my life is. That's not where I'm going to be able to thrive. That's not my place. And so I'm going to do everything possible to make sure my ass don't have to go back there.
That's what my friends and I call a can't go back all-star.
Oh.
It's like you'll see it in certain sports avenues. Like guy plays really hard, and you look up, he's from Little Rock, Arkansas. Oh, he can't go back. He ain't trying to go back. He don't want the last thing this man wants to do is ever go back there. No, he's from West Memphis, Tennessee. Oh no, sir, he is not going back. No, that man is fighting for his life out there. So yeah, that is an analogy that carries. LaCressa, thank you for your time. Tell everyone they can find you and help them attack the spring market.
Hi. So LaCressa Morrow in town, KW in town. LAC sells ATL on Instagram. And then from there, you can find me many other places. Most importantly, as you get ready for the spring market, figure out what you want. And for me, I would say figure out what's comfortable for you, not just what you want. So if I'm comfortable paying $1,500 or $1,600, then back yourself out and see what that means. Stay in your level of comfort because it's going to lessen your stress when you are pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone because you're already outside of your comfort zone anyway by going through this process and giving these people all your information to get into your business so that you can get some money to get a home. So know what you want and be decisive and get out there and shoot your shot.
Love it. I absolutely love it. Daniel Palmer, Shelter Home Mortgage, DanielPalmerMortgages.com, all across the internet. Make sure you guys find out. Once you figured out what you want, let's figure out how to get there. Go ahead and give me a call, 770-608-2845, or email me at daniel.palmer@sheltermortgage.com. Let's start your journey to home ownership today. We'll be back in a week with more life, love, and real estate. Oh, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share. Make sure you listen. Make sure you watch it. Send it to all your friends, anyone who's thinking about buying a home, anyone in your life who has said to you, man, this rent is too damn high. This is the podcast for them. Make it accessible, make it approachable, make it available, and then make it yours. Have a great 2 weeks. We'll see you then.